if you wrote down a set of goals, and it didn't have self-regulation on it, you're barely scratching the surface of performance edge and your next level. You have to have high intention to start regulating better. High intention. Don't let the kids make you so mad. Dial it in. Don't let her make you so mad. Dial it in. It's really important. You see this all the time with great coaches on the sideline, right? Their quarterbacks come in, they're frazzled. It's like, get them in the right spot. Lock them back into the zone. Just dial them back in. It's okay they got frazzled, but we don't want them going back on the field that way. That's what I want you to think about. You got frazzled, you got hurt, you got lonely, you got upset. There's a negative emotion. Go, oh, there's a negative emotion here. That's okay. I want to get back on the field of intention. Let me dial it so I can step back on the field in a good place. Everyone following the metaphor? Yeah, I want this to be a high goal, like a big goal. Everyone say big goal. Big goal. This is life. This is really important. And I'm going to show you how most people, they screw this up, and that's why the stick figure will fall apart. They don't understand what's happening here. I'm going to give you some simple tricks. But everyone say dial it in. Yeah, you got to dial it in. Put your hand on your heart. Say dial it in. One dominant metaphor for the year. If I could give you that superpower, just go, oh, there's a dial there. It's okay that there's something happening. Let me dial it for my intention and to be back in the field of play. Don't stay on the sidelines because the emotion is there that you don't like. Recognize it, honor it, know what it is, and then just dial it to whatever spectrum is purposeful for you. Okay, what else? Another superpower is social influence. Your ability to impact other people purposefully is a superpower. Many of you think you're not good with people. Well, I'm shy, Brendan. I'm not good with people. Oh, I'm sorry, those aren't the same thing. You took a trait, shy, and assigned a behavioral outcome, bad with people. You see what we do? Trait, assign negative outcome. Well, I'm shy, so I'm bad with people. I know a tremendous number of shy people who are incredible with people. Why did you assume the way you feel there is the outcome you have to have? Most of you have more power socially than you could ever fathom. But you told yourself you're not that person. For example, this scares most of the world. To talk on stage a couple hours with no notes, that would freak them out. But you would have to have a certain error. I can imagine if I said, but I'm more introverted than extroverted, which is true, by the way. No one ever believes it. But you can't write 6 books and not have a high introversion. Like I do this as a mission, but I go home and putter around the house, afterwards. I got to go hide afterwards, I got to go get quiet for a few days after these events and do a few ice baths and cry and no, I'm just kidding. But imagine if years ago I said, well, I'm kind of introverted, I'm just a writer. I'm just a writer, not a speaker. I can't influence people. They wouldn't listen to me. See, that's what you usually do. When you don't recognize you have this superpower, you say, they won't listen to me. Do you know the primary killer of all powers is a negative belief that sounds like this? It's a distorted belief that says, I'm an unlovable failure, shamed by other people, and I'll never be happy. And a lot of people believe that. Other people don't like me. I'm unlovable. They'll make fun of me. I'll be shamed by them, and I'll never be happy and find love. That's such a dominant thought for so many people that they've convinced themselves they don't have social influence. And it should be your job to gain social influence. It's a job because it's a skill, not a trait. It's a skill, It's not, listen, write this down. It's a skill, not how I feel. See, we go, well, I don't feel comfortable doing that, so I can't have that. No. You're basing outcome on feeling, trait, versus skill, development. Yeah, can I get an amen on a Monday? Oh, every single one of you could train to be up on this stage. Can I get an amen on a Monday? Every single one of you can be a better parent with greater influence with your children. Can I get an amen on a Monday? Every single one of you can sell, get people to invest in you, can persuade, can start movements, can make a difference in this world. Can I get an amen on a Monday? You train for that. You don't have that. You train for that. You don't stick to the natural feeling. You train the skill. And this is a superpower. But guess what? You have to summon it. You have to literally choose it. Sorry to be a total dork from the 80s today, but I know you saw Clark Kent. You remember Clark Kent? When he's Clark Kent and he's got the glasses on and he's the newspaper reporter and he's talking to Lois Lane and he's a dork? And then literally, he steps up, changes, and he's standing there. 4 seconds later, she doesn't recognize him. Sorry to ruin the plot. All of a sudden, bam, he's standing there. How you doing, Lois? And all of a sudden you're like, whoa. It's like literally the next scene and he's just like amazing with her. And you're like, whoa. He just summoned Superman. Same guy without the glasses. So I'm gonna tell you this. It's literally just up here. It is just a switching in your mind that you're good with people. It's just a switching in mind. You cannot achieve all the goals you've written down without increasing these two factors. If you were looking for an unlock, what's the advanced stuff Brendan's gonna teach me? I'm gonna tell you all your goals are great. But I'm gonna tell you, you'll never achieve all your goals and your desires without making this the work. Can I get an amen on Monday? Do you know how easy it is to diagnose somebody with these two circles we just drew? Your kids are struggling in school, right here. You're banging your head against the wall with the same project over and over and over again, right here. The activation and the training, the what? Training, the training. I've just trained myself on these over and over and over. So I got really good with my dial, right? I can get my dial in the right position to turn on the Zoom and to talk to 100,000 people, right? I can get my dial in the right position to recover after I got angry at my wife. I can turn my dial in the right position to come out on stage. I can turn the dial in the right position to get calm and write a great chapter. That's self-regulation. That's why we do personal development. That's why you have to read personal development books, spiritual development books, psychology books. Learning to understand your mindset, your emotions, your thought patterns, it will shift everything. The actual goal isn't the goal, remember? Those are just goals. Those are ambitious outcomes. The goal is you become better. You're in your superpowers more often. You summon the best of who you are. If you walk out of this room with one word or one phrase, it's summoning the best of who you are with greater frequency and intensity. Summoning the best of who you are with greater frequency and intensity. But I know when you're home and you're looking at the notes, you go, how? This is how. You train. Who's taken many courses on communication, persuasion, sales? Put your hands up. Stand up if you've taken a lot of classes and courses on any of these two topics, ladies and gentlemen, and get recognized for our growth. Let's go. Y'all should have stood up because that's why you're here. Who's happy to be here on January 1st doing the work? Then turn to the person to the right, shake him, and say, we're doing the work. Yeah. We're doing the work. Listen, you want a goal? Let me give a goal that might not have been on your sheet. You can accept it or decline it. Yeah, we're growing. Here we go. Develop, write the word down, mastery. This is the stuff of self-mastery. That's why we're in growth day. That's why we journal. That's why we track our habits. That's why we watch all these teachers. We're trying to learn to dial in the best of who we are and connect with people in a more meaningful, influential way. In the middle of this superpower, I didn't draw it quite right, so you're gonna have to stick with me here, is service. This is what feels like that meaningful pursuit we talked about earlier. Service. And see, I like it overlapping. Service is about us and how we show up and how we influence other people. Often people make service an external thing. No. The greatest service of your life is allowing yourself to serve. The greatest service of your life is allowing yourself to serve. Like the benefit you get as much. When we talk about starting a movement or making a difference, we benefit from that just as much as the audience. I tell people all the time, they're like, why haven't you retired, Brendan? I'm like, oh, do I look that old now? I didn't realize that, oh dang. But why are you still doing it? You know, I've already had my unicorn outcomes. I've already sold the number of books I ever wanted to sell. I've already done the stuff with the celebrities I've already, well beyond, God has given me a path that I never even imagined. My hope was maybe I can write as a living. Maybe I can coach as a living and teach as a living. And maybe I can make $40,000 a year doing that because we never had that much when we grew up with my parents working full time. I was like, maybe I can do those things. That was really, I wish I could tell you I had this big vision for all this. But sometimes when you surrender to service and you listen to the calling that spirit or God or universe or the people around you are giving, if you don't believe in a God, you just notice what people need. A different path opens for you. So often we're trying to know our path and build our path and push our path. Remember I talked about surrender? I think in service that in our society, we've gotten too ambitious about it. We've gotten too, it's got to be this big thing. And yet our neighbor is struggling with her kids and we don't help. There's people in our town who don't have food and we don't help. There's somebody at work who told you they're having a bad day, but you hang up and take an extended lunch instead of talking to them. I always tell people, the service is in your face. It's right there. And we're trying to figure out, what's my life's purpose? And God is putting the Samaritan right on the side of the road. Right, literally right there. But we walk by in our idyllic philosophy and our ivory tower. And so I tell people all the time, the superpower is seeing that the service is right there. Right there. A lot of what opened up for me in my career wasn't architecting a grand plan. It was talking with my customers more and going, what do you need? What would you like? And the service just emerged from listening and understanding. That we don't envision a perfect service and purpose. Instead, we empathize with the people around us and we help solve some problems. And that's a superpower. You want to be a superpower person? Solve problems. That's what you do. I love Superman, the movie. Do you remember when Superman, he's saving cats out of trees and stuff. And you're watching the movie, you're like, don't you have something bigger to do? But they made sure to put in that he just helps people with simple things because he's not above that. Our fancy culture has gotten above it. And we don't even help people with simple things who are nearby. Be the problem solver in your family and in your community and on your team. Notice that. Stop dreaming so big that you miss the service in front of you. Stop being so much on your path that you miss the person who needs service. And when you can do that, you see the whole world through a different lens. Like I'm constantly trying to solve and understand and empathize. And that unlocked all these ways of service I never imagined. I didn't, hope one day to do this. This was very uncomfortable for me. Remember the feeling? This speaking, very uncomfortable. But then I had to go, well, how can I be of service to more people? Because people were telling me, hey, hey kid, this story you have, you should tell that story. You should write about that. You should blog about that. You should do a video about that. You should speak about that. And I'm like, huh? I just wanted to tell the person about my car accident and why I lived my life the way I did. And it grew into so much more. So I want you to think about this. Your superpower is your service. And here's the deal. We live in a very selfish culture. So when you are the person of service, you become a leader. It's an incredible thing. Be the person of service this year. Stop worrying about so many of your goals that are so task-driven. Be the person of service. Write it down. Be the person of service. If you're the person of service, I promise you will manifest goals that you never even imagined. You will go far beyond it. Listen, it's not me making it up. It's my main man, Zig Ziglar. That was probably Zig. You knew I was coming, didn't you, brother? He knew it was coming. That you will achieve all of your goals and dreams in life when you help enough people achieve theirs. Remember Zig? So simple, right? You'll achieve all your goals and dreams in life when you help enough people achieve theirs. That's a superpower. Be of service. I'll share this last big idea, and then we'll do some breakdown on the mindset around all of this. I'll just right off the side. It is your spirit. It's the stuff of spirit. For some of you, that's God, right? For me, that's God. For some of you, it's spirit, like esprit de corps, like the spirit in which you serve or show up in life, the intention, the energy. I think of spirit at an earthly level as intention and energy. Intention and energy gives you a certain kind of spirit, When you have high intention for people and you bring the joy, there's some spirit there, right? You got to learn to bring the Yeah, when you bring the joy, there's a spirit there. People feel it. Everyone's like, what's the secret to your events right now? I'm like, there's a spirit of joy. We bring the joy, and it just happens. I'm joyful up here. You meet my mom, she's joyful. You meet my team. Can you give a shout out to my team and this whole crew putting this together? Joy. They love checking you in and being with you. There's a spirit of service there. But I also think that in sometimes, like, tapping into it is amazing, because we work so hard on our desires, our goals, our dreams, and everything else. But sometimes we just forget to ask. Hey God, what do you want me to do? What's your vision for me? What's your dream for me? What can I follow for you? And when you tap into some of that too, and maybe it's not God for you, maybe it's just a sense of spirit, universe, maybe it's just something beyond you, and you start tapping into that more. You start tapping into that over and over and over. It's like doors open that you didn't imagine. It's like a creative thing that happens that's generative, that you didn't even know that was the next step, but he did, and open another door. But if you're not connecting, doors aren't opening. If you're not aligned, doors aren't opening. When you're just down and you're grinding, and you never ask, what's a higher thing, then it's always going to be down there. So I just think there's something, I don't know what it is, someone here, maybe this will be your year you tap into a higher level of spiritual energy. And that spiritual energy might be you generate from your spirit, or you connect to it from your God or your belief system or your faith. I'm not a person who says you have to believe in anything. I always share mine. I'm someone who believes in a God and a creator. But my ability to align with that and ask and pray and really conceive and think through that and surrender to that is why I don't get, I could be like 10 times more frustrated or flustered in life, but I'm kind of like, okay, I will work really hard. I will summon the best of myself, and I will release that outcome. Because if I don't release that outcome and trust that another door is going to open and I'm the only one in control, then I get mad at myself and I shut down. Is anyone resonating with this? Okay, turn to the person on the right, shake them, say, you got spiritual powers. Spiritual powers. Watch this. I would say that social influence is waiting for Q&A time. Anyone else want to shout out in a room of 1,000 people? I think it's okay. I think it's okay. What we need to do in social influence is recognize what's appropriate. When we get to Q&A time, I'll get there, brother. Good question, though. Give him a round of applause. I would pause and take all questions, but then you don't get to see how the stick thing breaks. Remember I told you this thing is gonna break? Okay, watch what happens. Okay, so remember, frequency and intensity of summoning the best of who you are. You got that? Watch the 3 dips that stops this person from, remember, desires, routines, goals, and tasks. Why don't they stay aligned with this? Usually, it's 3 simple reasons. Number 1 is something called, forgive me for a technical phrase here, mental distortion. You all might put in parentheses, let's just call it good old classic negative thinking. Yeah, that's right. Mental distortion. You hit a roadblock, and when you hit a roadblock, you immediately go into negative evaluation, and you stop. Now, lots of other people hit the exact same roadblock, but they kept going. What was the difference? Mental distortion. Let me give you a metaphor. What happens is you zap, Z-A-P. Like your progress gets zapped. Let's use that as a metaphor. Okay, here's what happens. We hit this roadblock right here. Is this too geeky or are you with me? Okay, this is my favorite part of the whole day. Okay. So I'm trying, you hit this roadblock. Oh no, roadblock need to be red. Okay. We hit this thing and zap. Here's what happens. You zoom and catastrophize. Like all these good things are happening. It's like check, life is good. But then something, a little negative thing, and you zoom in and you catastrophize, right? You miss the whole picture and that thing, you zoom in it and you go, well, that's terrible. This is gonna be ruinous. I'm no good. This is awful. I'm stopping. It's like you go into psychologists call it like an all or nothing bias. You go, it's not going perfect, so F it. And you throw out the baby with the... Okay, why did I say that? Creepy. I still don't even know what that means. Why would you throw out... Anyway, okay. Creepy. Watch what's happening. Okay, you're in this stream of progress, and there's all these things that are happening, right? You're moving. And what happens over here is in one of your efforts, bam, this sucks. And all of a sudden, your eyes go on that thing. And you zoom in and you go, of course, this whole thing sucks. It's not working. I knew that would happen. But you got all this stream of things happening in the world, but you zoom in. I want you to write this metaphor down, this acronym down. ZAP. You zoom and catastrophize. Self-regulation begins with noticing when you do that. For those who are like, teach me the skill of self-regulation, ZAP is it. We zoom in, we catastrophize. We zoom in, we create a negative evaluation. Write this down. Negative emotion comes from negative evaluation. Negative emotion, negative evaluation. In cognitive behavioral theory, we just believe this idea that most of our emotions and feelings over the long term are driven by thought patterns and how we evaluate things and our cognitive biases that kind of get us in trouble and distort things and make them bigger than they are. It's like in Montana, we say you make mountains out of molehills. You know? You're like, well, that thing, and you get hooked on that thing and you zoom in and you almost become paralyzed by focusing on that thing. And you're missing the bigger picture and you're missing the possibilities. So you zoomed into the problem and you missed the bigger picture and the possibilities around it. And that's what's important. That's why I draw it out for you. We're missing the bigger picture. We're missing all these open possibilities that are still in movement or could be in movement. And so we zoom and we catastrophize. That's bad, but that's not the killer. The killer is now we attach to self. We zoom into a situation and we attach it to ourselves. This means we go, oh, this terrible thing, problem. I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable with it. It makes me feel bad. We zoom in, we go, well, yep, always happens to me. I deserve it. I'm like that. And all of a sudden, the situation becomes the self. We blur the lines. We think the problem is bigger than the person. Worse, we think the problem is the person. That's how you zap progress. You think the problem is the person. Self-regulation requires you to separate self from situation, problem from personhood. Does it make sense? That's the work. I gotta notice I just want to tell you, next time you feel something, I'm giving you two metaphors here. Next time you feel something that's negative thought or feeling or emotion, just know there's a dial for that and you gotta zap. You gotta pay attention. Am I zooming in? Am I attaching myself to this thing? Because the inevitable, obvious next thing is, so we zoom in and catastrophize, we attach it to ourselves, and then we do one of two things. We procrastinate, pause, or I'm gonna use a different word that may be a little more psychologically than we're ready for, but let's go there. Punish. Zap. We zoom in and catastrophize, we attach ourselves to the situation, our problem to the personhood, and then we go, I'm done. I'm uncomfortable with that. I don't like being that. I'm embarrassed, I'm shamed, this is gonna turn out good, I'm stupid, I'm not worthy, I'm undeserving. Sure, see, this proves I suck. It proves I suck. And then, well, I'm just gonna stop. See, we often think that this person is different than this person. What I'd love to teach you today, it's not. Same person, different reaction. We always think she's so lucky. She has different reactions. He's so privileged, different reactions. And I know it's very controversial to tell people that all humans have a oneness to us, that we're very united in our humanity in this modern world. But I believe in that. I believe we're all human species. I believe in it. I believe that we are all one. I know that we're different, but I believe we have a oneness to us. We're born, we're gonna die. There is a fate in that. And we have learned to be incredibly social and to collaborate beyond our kin than any other species in the world. Most species, even those who build tools, even those who collaborate, they usually only do it with their family. Humans will work with somebody from a whole other country to build something amazing. Our ability to do that is really incredible. And one of the things that differentiates people, though, is that you realize we're all builders. We all want to progress. We all want aliveness. We all want connection. When I was teaching meaningful pursuits, no one said, I don't want that. No, it's just that when we go for it, bam, something happens, and some people end up stopping And other people have the willingness to dial that in, summon the best of who they are, and take another step. Taking another step is self-regulation. Continuing on through the discomfort is resilience. Keeping that momentum and that progress, even though the situation feels hard, or you feel inadequate, or even inferior, but you still step forward in the next right action of integrity over and over and over and over again, is how you have the upward spiral. The downward spiral is zap. You move it along, zap. Zoom in, attach self, procrastinate, pause a thing, or let me get to the simple part, the punishment part. And I'll just share this as a New Year's broadcast to everyone watching. If you have found yourself in a cycle of self-hate, where you punish yourself by repeated bad habits and bad patterns, and you've been doing it over and over and over again, mental health check, this is the time to get a professional therapist. Can we get an amen on a Monday, ladies and gentlemen? If you are stuck in a cycle of real self-sabotage and self-harm by the bad choices, you keep choosing the bad people, you keep choosing the addiction, you keep choosing the wrong path, it's time to go, oh, maybe I'm doing that because I don't like myself. One of the dramatic things you learn about humans when you coach them is the incredible power of what a psychologist would call confirmation bias. We want to confirm what we believe. If we believe we're inferior, inadequate, unlovable, trash, we will act out to confirm it. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. You ever know someone who hated themselves so they keep dating the bad ones? Ever know someone who knows every time they go to the drink it causes terrible things in their lives, but they go to the drink because you know they hate themselves? That needs therapy. That's coming from a deeper trauma that's causing that kind of self-harm. And so while that might be beyond the personal development guy teaching today, I want to give that mental health check to go, oh, if you find yourself in punishing patterns, punishing habits, and you're thinking, well, am I doing this because I hate myself? Or I think less of myself? Get that therapist and help them explore that, because that's more than we're going to cover today. Can I get a round of applause for that idea here today? So you either stop or you do bad patterns again and again and again and again. But it starts with here. The good news is, if you're like, tell me on your New Year's Day broadcast how to overcome procrastination, I'm like, oh good, it's these first two. You're procrastinating because you're zooming in on something that's very uncomfortable to you and you think you can't handle it. That's it. You're procrastinating because something in your life, it might not be the thing, but there's something in your life you are zooming in on, you believe that you can't handle it. You zoom in, you think it's going to go bad, and you think you're insufficient, which is attaching self to the situation versus seeing the self as something that can overcome the situation. Because if yourself knew it could overcome the situation, you wouldn't procrastinate. But you think yourself is below the situation, so you stop. Make sense? Why do I procrastinate? You think yourself is below the situation. Yourself is below the task. Your hierarchy is off. Once you know you're above it, you can handle it. Everyone say, you can handle it. Turn the person left, right, shake them, say, you can handle it. You can handle it. Was this too dorky, or do you guys like this stuff? Okay. More of this in 2024, yes? Okay, cool. We'll be teaching a lot of this concepts in Growth Day just to help people kind of overcome a lot of this stuff. So stick with me this year. So I said there's three things, right? Three downward paths. Number one is mental distortion. That negative thinking. You zoom, you attach self, you procrastinate. What's the solve of that, Brendan? The opposite. Zoom out, see the bigger picture and the possibilities. Realize yourself is above the situation, get momentum. That's it. That's how you move through. But there is something more. What's the other killer of this progress? Why this person shuts down? Can you read that? Fatigue. Everyone say the word with me? Who got tired last year? Okay, fix that. Okay, let me tell you something. You are not tired. Turn to the person left and right, grab their shoulders, look them in the eye and say, you are not tired. I'm not tired. You are not tired. Our whole way of thinking is so identity driven, isn't it? You are tired? Oh no, you feel fatigued. You have a feeling. You are not. Self above situation. Situation is feeling. Because when we don't understand that, we tell ourselves this, I am this. I am tired. You say it to people all the time. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. And confirmation bias says, yeah, we are. Let's keep doing all those things that make us tired because I said I'm tired. You think I'm joking? Same as some people. I'm old. So I'm doing things that old people do because I believe I'm old. You know, I'm done. I've heard this from so many successful people. Brendan, I'm done. I go, you are done? Or you're feeling done? It's two different things. And I want to let you know that fatigue is the true thief of our dreams. People always say it's comparison. No, we can work through comparison. But fatigue is a big deal. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it cautiously, because I do understand that there is a thing called chronic fatigue. And just like I'm not talking about therapy here, I'm not here to address you as a physician either, right? I understand there are things that are well beyond our control with chronic fatigue. The issue is if you have chronic fatigue, your physician is still going to ask you to change your routines. They're still going to ask you to have goals. They're still going to ask you to take daily healthy tasks and actions to improve. There's still empowerment there, even if it doesn't feel like it. You still have to try. You still have to do it, and it's super hard. And I understand that. Believe me, I've been at the bedside of many more people than most people do. I understand it. I've seen it in action. I've watched people pass and die, and I've been at that bedside a lot in my life. I understand. But I also know that there are people on those in those beds who still try, who still give the effort, who still choose the attitude, who still eat healthy. And it's hard. But if you're going to blast something this year, and you're like, okay, I'm going to make one needle moving thing this year, you're going to combat fatigue this year. And that's the word I want you to write. Combat fatigue. You are in a battle with fatigue. And you cannot let fatigue keep winning so many battles. I want you to understand this, because most people write, oh, I want to lose weight. I'm like, no. Yes, fine, lose weight. I want you to battle fatigue. That's the secret. A lot of people lose weight and they're still tired. Who knows what I'm talking about? Like, see, they're in the wrong battle. They're in self-conscious battle. I need to lose some weight. I'm like, I want you to beat fatigue. Not that it won't be there, remember? The dial? Fatigue will be there. But just like anything else, we can dial it up and we can dial it down based on our own thoughts and physiology. Most people's actual fatigue is not some long-running thing. Usually you can look at the last 3 months and see how they burned themselves out, how poorly they slept, how poorly they ate, which is a good news. It means most of us can significantly shift this, even if we have some people say they outsource their fatigue. No, you don't understand, Brendan. My parents have these genetics. You don't understand. I grew up in a household like this. You don't understand. I'm dealing with that. I'm like, no. It's not that I understand. The question is, what are you doing to combat it? I understand these things are hard. Remember, I'm the realist, and I've been at the bedsides. The issue is, what are you doing to combat it? How are you going to beat it this year? Too many days lead to fatigue. Most people, they say, oh, well, they're distracted, so they're scrolling. I go, they're tired. Most people are scrolling because they're mentally fatigued. All day long, they're scrolling, they're making these judgments, these thoughts, they're thinking. They're on what's called mental overload. Who's a mental overload person in the room? Who's good at doing mental overload? Combat that fatigue. Everyone always thinks and goes to physiology. I'm like, yes, and don't think the mental aspect isn't just as powerful. That you keep stacking so many things, you can't even go to the bathroom without scrolling 1,000 posts. Do you know that every one of those scrolls is taking mental bandwidth? That's mental work. Every single thing. Do I like it? Do I judge it? Do I want it? Do I want to share it? It's like constant. And you're like, why am I so tired? I'm like, how many hours did you scroll today? Because I can correlate your fatigue to your levels of distraction or overload. It's why, if I can give you a phrase this year, make more space. Make more space for peace. Don't pick up the phone. Just wander around the house. Literally. Don't even listen to the podcast. Go on a walk with your thoughts. You know, the creatives in the world were walkers. They loved to walk. And they would walk and they would just think. Do you remember just thinking? Let me give you my aha moment for me. It was the beginning of this last year. I was working with a client. And he was sharing my schedule with him. There were all these mysterious blocks on his calendar, and he wouldn't tell me. About 3 months, and I said, what is that? He goes, oh, that's my thinking block. I go, what do you do there? I'm high paid for a reason. I'm very smart. Very smart. He goes, no, I literally sit and think. Like Einstein would just sit at his desk and think. He didn't need to consume more papers. He had to sit and think through problems. See, what happens today is because we are uncomfortable with the problem, we don't want to think about it. So we distract ourselves. I was just teaching somebody who's a great friend of mine, the difference that he falls in this position of starting new projects all the time. Any start new projects, people? Yeah. The start new projects syndrome. What this usually comes from is not lack of clarity or an overabundance of creativity. Or, Brendan, I'm just a starter. I'm like, no. I think what's probably happening is you started something and it's uncomfortable or it's underperforming. When something is uncomfortable or underperforming, we want to turn away from it and start or engage in something that has greater energy or progress, because we like that energy and progress. Something you can always get faster energy and progress on something new than continuing to incrementally build up something else. Because we've been running this thing 3 or 4 or 5 years, so it's slow. It's like turning the big ship. It's just slower to move something that's big or moving along. So what you do, you go, oh, Brendan, I'm a procrastinator. You're not a procrastinator. You're turning away from something that is uncomfortable or underperforming. And the pleasure that you get is new things neurologically give something called novelty. Novelty increases dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin. And so we feel energized by new. And you take a few steps on something new, you get progress. There's a faster uplift. So you're not procrastinating, you're finding pleasure in novel things that are easier to understand, move, or influence. And you're turning away from what's uncomfortable or underperforming. It's the same reason people often cheat in relationships. It's the same reason entrepreneurs start too many businesses and don't actually manifest one into a real business. This business or this project got hard and it's underperforming. So let me start something new and get some radical lift. And a lot of that happens because we're tired. The more mentally fatigued I am, the more I just want that quick energy, the more I want that quick progress. But when you're energized, your mind and your body, your spirit is energized, you'll run through walls. Is this true? Everyone say, I'm ready. I'm ready. There's like a different level of willingness. When this is aligned, you'll just keep going. But if you keep burning yourself out, which most people do, by consuming versus thinking. They think they're mentally tired because they've been thinking. I'm like, you haven't thought all day. You consumed all day, and you're tired from consuming. You're not tired from creative thinking. Do you know the average American worker only creatively thinks for 20 minutes a day? They're paid 8 hours, but they creatively think for 20 minutes. Not my research. That's incredible, right? 20 minutes of creative thinking a day, that's it. Because they're just doing tasks. They're not thinking at a bigger, higher level. I want you to get this. Most mental fatigue is consuming. You're just consuming too much. Taking on too many Zoom calls, that's consumption too. Where it's just like you're not creatively thinking. I want more time and space to think this year. Who would love that? More time and space to think. Put that down. And by the way, that's not a goal, that's a task. More time and space to think. Maybe some of you will take the challenge with me. Why don't, at just 1:30, your local time, all year long, you just decide you're gonna do the task of a release meditation technique. 1:30, where's Brendan Burchard at 1:30? At 1:30, I'm doing a release meditation technique. What does that mean? I'm closing my eyes, I'm releasing all the thoughts in my brain, I'm releasing all the tension in my body, and I'm repeating the mantra, release, 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 as a self-command to release the tension and to release the thoughts. If thoughts come up, I return back to the mantra, release, release, release. How about you do a release meditation technique in 2024 for 24 minutes starting at 1:30 so you can make your 2 o'clock call. Could we try it, ladies and gentlemen? Who's willing? Who's going to try? You want to try it? 1:30 is super strategic for most people's circadian rhythm. It's super strategic for your digestion of when your meals typically happen. And 1:30, you do a release meditation technique. By 2 o'clock, you're good to go the rest of the day. So give it a try. It's just space. You need more space. Your fatigue is because you keep cramming. You're cramming your body full of food it does not need, and you're cramming your mind full of stuff it doesn't need. Garbage in, garbage, and the garbage out is fatigue and frustration towards others. So be aware, mental fatigue and physical fatigue. And I know many of you heard me teach this. 15th year I've stood in front of an audience, I said this. If as an adult, you've never chosen a year to get in the best health of your entire life, make that this year. This year, give yourself the gift. Some people, they turn 60 years old and they never took a year and said, in that year, they've lived 60 years and they never said, I'm gonna get the best health of my life this year. They've never chosen it. Because it doesn't happen. You have to say, this year, best health of my life. If you've never done it, make it this year. Who would put your hand up and go for it this year? Would you do that? You got to do it. You got to combat fatigue. Last big idea, and this is so important of why this person quits, is because of their peers, the social dynamic around them. It's usually one of these 3 killers. These are your enemies this year, if you will. Right? The enemies, I shouldn't say all your peers. Let's put this. Let's put this. Unhappy, negative peers who are zapping you all day long. The negative peers zapping you. They zoom in on all the problems, tell you all your problems. They don't think you're enough. They make sure to remind you of how bad you are, how much you suck, how awful you are, and they tell you to stop. They're zapping you all day long. Yeah, oh yeah, you could do that dream, but you know all these problems are gonna come up, and you know, you've never done that before. You should probably, that's too risky. They just zapped you. Who heard me? Did you hear that framework? That's what they say. Oh, you want to have that dream? A lot of people try that, it fails. You've never done it before, you're too old. You know, I don't know, your sister never did anything like that. Oh, I don't know, I think people will make fun of you. So, just be careful. Zap! Watch out for these zappers. I know when someone's zapping me, they're throwing their problem, they're pretending I'm not sufficient to handle it, and they're warning me about progress. I'm like, oh, a zapper. These zappers, you're gonna remember this metaphor, aren't you? Oh, you're going to remember the dial. Yeah, you're going to summon the best of who you are. Yeah, you're going to know when someone's zapping you now. You go, oh, zapper. You don't have to tell them they're zapper. You dial that down. You dial that down. You just know, oh, she's zapping me right now. And I'm not going to listen to her because you know what? I'm going to have positive mental thoughts. I'm going to command myself to combat fatigue. I'm going to have great routines of health this year. So I have the upswing, and I'm going to be around uplifting people, not zappers, but positive. Happy people going somewhere. Ambitious, big mouth people, apparently. Beware if you're getting zapped. Beware if the people around you are zapping your energy. They're zapping your belief. You need to be part of this community in Growth Day or an Ultra or something back home in your neighborhoods or someone else's mastermind or little group you put together for your own workouts. I don't care where. I just know you need to do it. This is your year of awesome community. Can I get an amen on a Monday? Then turn to the person left, right, and shake them and say, thank you for being here. Awesome people. More time with awesome, ambitious, generous people. More time with awesome, ambitious, generous people. That is not a goal. That is a task. That is a routine. You all follow? That is a task and a routine. You just do it. More time. Awesome, ambitious, generous people. Over and over. More, man, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my headset? Oh, my mind. What's wrong with me? Oh, more awesome. More amazing, ambitious, generous people over and over and over in life. And you'll see, like this uplift, notice this is not hard. Once we understand what our desires are, have good routines, goals, and tasks in place, the only things usually shutting us down is our own negative mental thinking, our own allowance of fatigue by not doing the things we already know we need to do, and being around zappers. And now, we're going to be careful of those zappers. We're going to hang around strivers. So turn the person one more time. Shake them, say, hello, striver. Yeah. Who's met somebody awesome at Growth Day already today? Well, I want to take a minute here as we end before lunch to say a couple of simple things for you. Number one, for everybody here today, can we give a round of applause for people working on themselves on January 1st, 2020? Absolutely amazing. Everybody here and online will get you a replay of my morning session sometime in the next 72 hours. So I appreciate it. If you'd like to own it or be in this room one time this year, make sure you sign up for our mastery program. I think they'll, oh, cool. Right on cue. Thank you. You'll see there's a QR code. You can take a picture and join our mastery program. Mastery program is all about this kind of energy with this kind of people. When you join Mastery, you don't just get today's replay. I do this every first of the month, and you can watch online. Also this year, Growth Day members, you get 2 tickets to attend a live event for free when you're a Mastery member, but only one event. So being very clear, only our Ultra members get multiple events. Ultra members attend, yes, only Ultra members attend multiple events this year. In 2024, you get to attend one Growth Day event, period, because we have so many Growth Day members who want to come. And so it's important. So make sure you claim your tickets if you're a Mastery member, or if you'd like to become a Mastery member and attend, awesome. Also, you will unlock our entire vault of incredible training from Wayne Dyer, from Jenna Kutcher, from Mel Robbins, from Ed Milet, from Trent Shelton, from Natalie Ellis. When you're a Mastery member, our whole vault is unlocked now for our Mastery members. You can go and watch replays of some of the best training and teaching in the world as a Mastery member. We'd love to have you. And I'd just like to end with a few thoughts. First, I want to just say I'm really grateful for you all coming here today. 15 years ago, can you imagine I was scared to death that first January 1st. I was scared to death because I thought, well, will anyone actually do work on their lives on January 1st? I mean, we'd never gone online live before. We didn't know if it was going to work. And I thought, do people even care? Do they want to know more than just goals? Do they want that performance edge? And we were scared. And we were like, this thing's going to crash. People are going to make fun. We're doing the first live thing. No one's ever done this. Like at that point, just to give you an idea, only 2 major online events had really happened in terms of big live casts. It was like a U2 concert. It was C-SPAN with Barack Obama speaking as a senator at the Democratic National Convention. And then it was Brendan Burchard. It was so ridiculous because this technology was so new. And I could have never imagined what would grow from that day. See, what you learned today is philosophical for you, or you become one of those people who 15 years from now tell me, Brendan, I was at that event, I took the notes, I workshopped my life with you on January 1, and I had the best year of my life. That's what I want for you. I want it for you, I want it for your family, I want it for your businesses, the people you serve. The best year. Put your hand on your heart and just say it with me. The best year. And I know there's so much ambition and dream and desire in the room, but with your hand on your heart, what I like you to do is, I want you to say it again, but I also want you to release it and surrender it and give it to God and ask for grace in the best year. And ask for the best year. Say, the best year. With your eyes closed, just ask for it. The best year of my life. I surrender the best year of my life. Because I want you to know you can have all the big dreams. You can have your desires and your routines and your goals and your tasks. But I think there's a vision beyond those things for you if you will surrender to the universe and to God and let them or that or something beyond you handle that outcome. You show up and you summon the best of who you are every day. That's your job. The outcome, the result, and the doors that open, that's a job outside of yours. That's his job, his steps. The universe's grace. Something beyond you guiding. But you summon your best. That's your job. The best year is with greater frequency and intensity. You summoned your best. You made it your job. I'm going to summon the best. Even if I screw up in the morning, even if I got in that argument, even if I didn't get the workout in, I'll give myself grace. But now, the rest of the day, let me live intentionally. Now, tomorrow, summon the best again and again and again. Dial in your life. Realize you can impact other people. Really show up and serve those in need right in front of you. Understand that you can improve your thinking. You don't have to zoom in everything and make yourself so bad. Instead, you can see the bigger picture and realize the enormity of your superpowers. You have superpowers. You can do something incredible with your life. Make this year that year.